bathroom.
Okay.
Okay, now Aaliyah is going to demonstrate
through Blackboard
how to get registered to take your quizzes.
oceanography.
She's going to click Pearson My Lab
There's the lab.
under the content folder to the left.
Content, Pearson My Lab.
Now here, she's going to go ahead and click Pearson Mastering Assignments. Okay, she's going to accept her end user agreement. Now, right here, if you have a Pearson login, you put it in. If you don't have a Pearson login, step 1 is you create your Pearson credential. No yawning.
That wasn't me.
Sure. And I already have a username through Pearson because of chemistry.
Okay, so
Or
if you forget that.
If you've ever been in math and used My Math Lab, you have a Pearson account.
actually, I think it was
That's true.
my contact.
Okay, well, you can do it, forget your username, try to retrieve it. It could be on your phone.
No, it's not on my phone. I'll just try my standard.
And don't save it. Never.
No. And it's not
That's
connected to the
okay.
server. Okay.
Who knows what that's about? Hit assignments again. See.
Yeah.
Try right there. Close that and type it there.
I did not say that. Okay.
There you go. Okay, yeah, you can figure that out on your phone.
Fine.
All right. Okay, this is the video that I always show to kick off this class, okay? And
Shall I take notes?
Yeah, if you want.
Okay.
Can you let me know if you can hear? Can you hear the video?
I mean, it's kind of staticky, but
First question is this. Our
oh
country
yeah, it's good.
has two exploration programs. One is NASA, with a mission to explore the great beyond, to explore the heavens, which we all want to go to if we're lucky. And you can see we have Sputnik and we have a Saturn and we have other manifestations of space exploration. Well, there's also another program that in another agency within our government in ocean exploration. It's in NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. And my question is this: why are we ignoring the oceans? Here's the reason, or not the reason, but here's why I asked that question. If you compare NASA's budget, annual budget to explore the heavens, that one-year budget would fund NOAA's budget to explore the oceans for 1,600 years. Why? Why are we looking up? Is it because it's heaven and hell is down here? Is it a cultural issue? Why are people afraid of the ocean? Or do they just assume the ocean is just a dark, gloomy place that has nothing to offer? I'm going to take you on a 16-minute trip on 72% of the planet, so buckle up, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to immerse ourselves in my world, and what I'm going to try to, I hope I make the following points, so I'm going to make it right now in case I forget, is everything I'm going to present to you was not in my textbooks when I went to school. And most of it was not even my college textbooks. When I'm a geophysicist, and all my earth science books, when I was a student, I had to give the wrong answer to get an A. We used to ridicule continental drift. It was something we laughed at. We learned Marshall Kay's geosynclinal cycle, which is a bunch of crap. But in today's context, it was a bunch of crap, but it was the law of geology, vertical tectonics. All the things we're going to walk through in our explorations and discoveries of the oceans were mostly discoveries made by accident. Mostly discoveries made by accident. We were looking for something, found something else. And everything we're going to talk about represents a 0.1% glimpse. That's all we've seen. I have a characterization. This is a characterization of what it would look like if you could remove water. It gives you the false impression it's a map. It is not a map. In fact, I commonly ask people, I have another version at my office, and I ask people, why are there mountains here on this area here, but there are none over here? And they go, well, gee, you know, they try to be, you know, saying, is it a fracture zone? Is it a hot spot? No, that's the only place a ship's been. Most of the southern hemisphere is unexplored. We had more exploration ships down there during Captain Cook's time than now. It's amazing. All right, so we're going to immerse ourselves in the 72% of the planet because, you know, it's really naive to think that the Easter Bunny put all the resources on the continents. You know, it's just ludicrous. We are always constantly playing this zero-sum game. You know, we're going to do this, we're going to take it away from something else. I believe in just enriching the economy. And we're leaving so much on the table, 72% of the planet, and as I will point out later in the presentation, 50% of the United States of America lies beneath the sea. 50% of our country that we own, have all legal jurisdiction, have all rights to do whatever we want, lies beneath the sea, and we have better maps of Mars than that 50%. Why? Okay. Now, I began my explorations the hard way. Back then, this was, actually my first expedition was I was 17 years old. It was 49 years ago. Do the math, I'm 66. And I went out to sea on a scrip ship, and we almost got sunk by a giant rogue wave. And I was too young to be, you know, I thought it was I was a body surfer, and I thought, wow, that was an incredible wave. And we almost sank the ship, but I became enraptured with mounting expeditions. And over the last 49 years, I've done about 120, 21, I keep doing them, expeditions. But in the early days, the only way I could get to the bottom was to crawl into a submarine, a very small submarine, and go down to the bottom. I dove in a whole series of different deep diving submersibles, Alvin and Seacliff and Sienna, and all the major deep submersibles we have, which are about 8. In fact, on a good day, we might have 4 or 5 human beings at the average depth of the Earth. Maybe 4 or 5 human beings out of whatever billions we've got going. And so it's very difficult to get there if you do it physically. But I was enraptured back in my graduate years was the dawn of plate tectonics. And we realized that the greatest mountain range on Earth lied beneath the sea. The mid-ocean ridge runs around like the seam in a baseball. This is on a Mercator projection, but if you were to put it on an equal area projection, you'd see that the mid-ocean ridge covers 23% of the Earth's total surface. Almost a quarter of our planet is a single mountain range, and we didn't enter it until after Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin went to the moon. We went to the moon, played golf up there, before we went to the largest feature on our own planet. And our interest in this mountain range as Earth scientists in those days was not only because of its tremendous size, dominant the planet, but the role it plays in the genesis of the Earth's outer skin, because it's along the axis of the mid-ocean ridge where the great crustal plates are separating, and like a living organism can tear open blood, rise it up to heal that wound from the asthenosphere, hardens, forms new tissue, and moves laterally. But no one had actually gone down into the actual site of the boundary of creation, as we call it, into the Rift Valley, till a group of 7 of us crawled in our little submarines in the summer of 1973, 1974, and were the first human beings to enter the Great Rift Valley. We went down into the Rift Valley. This is all accurate except for one thing. It's pitch black. It's absolutely pitch black because photons cannot reach the average depth of the ocean, which is 12,000 feet. In the Rift Valley, it's 9,000 feet. Most of our planet does not feel the warmth of the sun. Most of our planet is in eternal darkness. And for that reason, you do not have photosynthesis in the deep sea. With the absence of photosynthesis, you have no plant life, and as a result, you have very little animal life living in this underworld, or so we thought. And so in our initial explorations, we were totally focused on exploring the boundary of creation, looking at the volcanic features running along that entire 42,000 miles. Running along this entire 42,000 miles are tens of thousands of active volcanoes. Tens of thousands of active volcanoes. There are more active volcanoes beneath the sea than on land by 2 orders of magnitude. So it's a phenomenally active region. It's not just a dark, boring place. It's a very alive place, and it's then being ripped open. But we were dealing with a particular scientific issue back then. We couldn't understand why you had a mountain under tension. In plate tectonic theory, we knew that if you had plates collide, it made sense. They would crush into one another. You would thicken the crust. You'd uplift it. That's why you get you get seashells up on Mount Everest. It's not a flood. It was pushed up there. We understood mountains under compression, but we could not understand why we had a mountain under tension. Should not be, until one of my colleagues said, it looks to me like a thermal blister, and the mid-ocean ridge must be a cooling curve. We said, let's go find out. We punched a bunch of heat probes. Everything made sense, except at the axis there was missing heat. There was missing heat. It was hot. It wasn't hot enough. So we came up with multiple hypotheses. There's little green people down there taking it. There's all sorts of things going on. But the only logical was that there were hot springs, that there must be underwater hot springs. We mounted an expedition to look for the missing heat. And so we went along this mountain range in an area along the Galapagos Rift, and did we find the missing heat? It was amazing. These giant chimneys, huge giant chimneys. Went up to them with our submersible. We wanted to get a temperature probe. We stuck it in there, looked at it with pegged off scale. Pilot made this great observation, that's hot. And then we realized our probe was made out of the same stuff. It could have melted, but it turns out the exiting temperature was 650 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt lead. This is what a real one looks like on the Juan de Fuca Ridge. What you're looking at is incredible pipe organ of chemicals coming out of the ocean. Everything you see in this picture is commercial grade, copper, lead, silver, zinc, and gold. So the Easter Bunny has put things in the ocean floor, and you have massive heavy metal deposits that we're making in this mountain range. We're making huge discoveries of large commercial grade ore along this mountain range, but it was dwarfed. It was dwarfed by what we discovered. We discovered a profusion of life in a world that it should not exist. Giant tube worms, 10 feet tall. I remember having to use vodka, my own vodka, to pickle it because we don't carry formaldehyde. We went and found these incredible clam beds sitting on the barren rock. Large clams, and when we opened them, they didn't look like a clam, and when we cut them open, they didn't have the anatomy of a clam, no mouth, no gut, no digestive system. They had inside them, their bodies had been totally taken over by another organism, a bacterium that had figured out how to replicate photosynthesis in the dark through a process we now call chemosynthesis. None of it in our textbooks. None of us in our textbooks that we did not know about this life system. We were not predicting it, we stumbled on it, looking for some missing heat. So we wanted to accelerate this process. We wanted to get away from this silly trip up and down on a submarine, average depth of the ocean, 12,000 feet, 2.5 hours to get to work in the morning, 2.5 hours to get to home, 5-hour commute to work, 3 hours of bottom time, average distance traveled 1 mile on a 42,000 mile mountain range. Great job security, but not the way to go. So I began designing a new technology of telepresence using robotic systems to replicate myself so I wouldn't have to cycle my vehicle system. We began to introduce that in our explorations, and we continued to make phenomenal discoveries with our new robotic technologies. Again, looking for something else, moving from one part of the mid-ocean ridge to another. We were off, the scientists were off watch, and they came across incredible life forms. They came across new creatures they had not seen before, but more importantly, they discovered edifices down there that they did not understand, that did not make sense. They were not above a magma chamber. They shouldn't be there. And we called it Lost City. And Lost City was characterized by these incredible limestone formations and upside down pools. Look at that. How do you do that? That's water upside down. We went in underneath it, tapped it, and we found that it had the pH of Drano. the pH of 11, and yet it had chemosynthetic bacteria living in it and at this extreme environment. And the hydrothermal vents were in an acidic environment. All the way at the other end in an alkaline environment at a pH of 11, life existed. So life was much more creative than we had ever thought. Again, discovered by accident. Just 2 years ago, working off Santorini, where people are sunning themselves on the beach, unbeknownst to them in Caldera nearby, we found phenomenal hydrothermal vent systems and other more life systems. This was 2 miles from where people go to sunbathe, and they were oblivious to the existence of this system. Again, you know, we stop at the water's edge. Recently, diving off in the Gulf of Mexico, finding pools of water. This time, not upside down, right side up. Bingo! You think you're in air until your fish swims by. You're looking at brine pools formed by salt diapirs. Near that was methane. I've never seen volcanoes of methane. Instead of belching out lava, they were belching out big bubbles of methane, and they were creating these volcanoes, and there were flows not of lava but of the mud coming out of the earth, driven by methane. Never seen this before. Moving on, there's more than just natural history that beneath the sea, human history, our discoveries of the Titanic, the realization that the deep sea is the largest museum on earth. It contains more history than all the museums on land combined, and yet we're only now penetrating it, finding the state of preservation. When we found the Bismarck in 16,000 feet, we then found the Yorktown. People always ask, did you find the right ship? This said Yorktown on the stern. More recently, finding ancient history. How many ancient mariners have had a bad day? The number's 1 million. We've been discovering these along ancient trade routes where they're not supposed to be. This shipwreck sank 100 years before the birth of Christ. This one sank carrying a prefabricated Home Depot Roman temple. And then here's one that sank at the time of Homer at 750 BC. More recently into the Black Sea, where we're exploring, because there's no oxygen there. It's the largest reservoir of hydrogen sulfide on Earth. Shipwrecks are perfectly preserved. All their organics are perfectly preserved. We begin to excavate them. We expect to start hauling out the bodies in perfect condition with their DNA. Look at the state of preservation, still the ad mark of a carpenter. Look at the state of those artifacts. You still see the beeswax dripping. When they dropped, they sealed it. This ship sank 1,500 years ago. Fortunately, we've been able to convince Congress. We begin to go on the Hill and lobby, and we stole recently a ship from the United States Navy, the Okeanos Explorer, and its mission. Its mission is as good as you could get. Its mission is to go where no one has gone before on planet Earth. And I was looking at it yesterday. It's up in Seattle. Okay. It comes online. It comes online this summer, and it begins its journey of exploration. But we have no idea what we're going to find when we go out there with our technology, but certainly it's going to be going to the unknown America. This is that part of the United States that lies beneath the sea. We own all of that blue, and yet, like I say, particularly the Western Territorial Trust, we don't have maps of them. We don't have maps of them. We have maps of Venus, but not of the Western Territorial Trust. The way we're going to run this, we have no idea what we're going to discover. We have no idea what we're going to discover. We're going to discover an ancient shipwreck, a Phoenician off Brazil, or a new rock formation, a new life. So we're going to run it like an emergency hospital. We're going to command center via high bandwidth satellite link to a building we're building at the University of Rhode Island called the Inner Space Center. And within that, we're going to run it just like you run a nuclear submarine, blue gold team, switching them off and on, running 24 hours a day. A discovery is made. That discovery is instantly seen in the command center a second later, but then it's connected through Internet 2, the new Internet highway that makes Internet 1 look like a dirt road on the information highway with 10 gigabits of bandwidth. We'll go into areas we have no knowledge of. It's a big blank sheet on our planet. We'll map it within hours, have the maps disseminated out to the major universities. It turns out that 90% of all the oceanographic intellect in this country are at 12 universities. They're all on I-2. We can then build a command center. This is a remote center at the University of Washington. She's talking to the pilot. She's 5,000 miles away, but she's assuming command. But the beauty of this, too, is we can then disseminate it to children. We can disseminate, they can follow this expedition. I've started a program, where are you, Jim? Jim Young, who helped we start a program called the Jason Project. More recently, we've started a program with the Boys and Girls Clubs of America so that we can use exploration and the excitement of live exploration to motivate them and excite them and then give them what they're already ready for. I would not let an adult drive my robot. You don't have enough gaming experience, but I will let a kid with no license take over control of my vehicle system. Because we want to create the classroom of tomorrow. We have stiff competition and we need to motivate, and it's all being done. You win or lose an engineer or a scientist by the 8th grade. The game is not over. It's over by the 8th grade. It's not beginning. We need to be not only proud of our universities, we need to be proud of our middle schools. And when we have the best middle schools in the world, we'll have the best kids pumped out of that system, let me tell you. Because this is what we want. This is what we want. This is a young lady not watching a football game, not watching a basketball game, watching exploration live from thousands of miles away, and it's just dawning on her what she's seen. And when you get a jaw drop, you can inform. You can put so much information into that mind. It's in full reset mode. And that's this I hope will be a future engineer or a future scientist in the battlefield for truth. And my final question, why are we not looking at moving out onto the sea? Why do we have programs to build a habitation on Mars, and we have programs to look at colonizing the moon, but we do not have a program looking at how we colonize our own planet, and the technology is at hand? Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
That sort of kicks off oceanography. It's dated. I was looking to see what year. It's several years old. He's done a couple new ones, but he makes some really valid points, and that can be one of the critical thinking topics of why we're not doing more ocean exploration. But that's sort of he's a premier oceanographer. You notice he started like me because I'm a geologist. And he's like one person. There are very few people that have actually explored the depths of the ocean. And later on in the semester, we will watch James Cameron's Challenger Deep, where he went to the deepest place in the ocean. Does anybody know where the deepest place in the ocean is?
Mariana Trench.
What?
Mariana's Trench.
Yep, that's right. And let's take a look at that real quick. And then Aaliyah will be ready to go. Will she not? Oh, for goodness sakes. Oh, that is just fabulous. Okay, there it is. Okay, so I recommend that you guys all download Google Earth Pro. It's free. You may already have it. And let's see where this trench is located. This isn't Google on the internet. It's a standalone application, Google Earth Pro. And they have some pretty up-to-date bathymetric maps. So when you look at that, you can see the bathymetric, so you can see the terrain on the ocean floor. And any ideas on what's going on there and why that's the deepest place on Earth? And that trench is deeper. It's deeper than Mount Everest is tall. And what do you think's going on there?
The oceanic crust is pulling apart.
What would happen if the opposite thing happened?
It would start on a mountain range.
Okay. Let's see. So I'm going to bring this over. So here's the Mariana Arch, a cross section. So it's actually not pulling apart. The deepest places on Earth are the places that are crashing in. It's called, the plates are converging. And it's actually a convergence center where two plates are battling. And the denser one, you know, humans, the denser one usually loses. But on Earth, the denser one wins. That was funny. Yeah, I got a chuckle at. But on this one, the one that's the most dense gets subducted down, and the other one's hung up. If you can see that cross section on your left, you've got two oceanic plates, and one's a little bit more dense, and it's traveling a little faster, so it's creating that trench. So actually, where we have the trenches, we have plates colliding, converging, as opposed to the opposite, which would be a divergence zone. Now, in the video, he talked about the tube worms and those type of things, and the extremophiles. Now, they live, that is a place where two plates are coming together. What he was talking about on the video, here the plates are pulling apart. That plate's going that way, that plate's going that way. So this is where he was talking about when he showed that little sick shell with that like blood in it. Was a chemical trophy. That's where they're pulling apart. Okay, cool. So it's 1:21. Normally I'll always end the class about 5 minutes early. Now we're going to go back to Aaliyah, and she's going to finish. The main thing about this course is and your quiz is due Thursday. So I'm going to go back to her, which is in Chrome. I think I just nixed them. Let me get them back. You guys still with me?
Yep, with you.
Okay,
Yep.
cool, 'cause somebody. Okay, now.
Yeah.
Here goes Alina. She's good. She's ready to go in. She got here from Blackboard.
Yes. Okay. Oh, come on. No, I know why. It was just fine earlier. It was
Just
fine.
close it and try again. Just close that, yeah, and then hit it again.
Try it again, one more time.
Sometimes Blackboard logs us all out, and it drives me crazy. I'll be entering grades, and then they log me out, and I'm like, oh no. Be patient here. This is going to be worth it. We get in here. It's okay. Is it still not happy?
No, it's still not happy.
Okay. Let me drive then.
Okay.
Here, I'll show you what this would have looked like. She got this code scratched off, and she's ready to go. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and send you a reset link. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So see if check that and see if you can get that figured out. Okay, so I'm going to show you. See if this is me or you. Okay. And this is what it'll look like. And it's got really quiet on our end. But if she logged in, the first thing she would see is this. Okay. And she has a code. So she would hit access code and she would type in, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sets of letters. She would type that in and then she'd be set to go. She bought that from the bookstore, but the cheapest option is $79.99 before tax with a red arrow. Click that. If you haven't got your financial aid yet, your third option is down here and you can get 14 days of temporary access. So there's no excuse. You can do the temporary access and then we can convert it if you need to, okay? So that's how you get the code. Any questions about how you register your code? What about you, Nicole? Are you good? You lowered your hand. Any questions?
I tried to get to that page, and I need a course, you know, the course.
Okay, here's the deal. It should not prompt you for a course ID, because the only reason you need a course ID is if you're in the Pearson, like a separate deal. But in all of my courses, I have you directly linked. So all you need to do is come in and then click Pearson MyLab. And then it should keep you inside there without needing the course ID. Did you do that and it still gave you an error?
I'm gonna make sure right now, so I
But
don't.
if you go out to you don't need to go out to Pearson like on a separate. If you click from within Blackboard like Aaliyah did, is that right?
Yeah, it's
Did you
loading right now. I
reset
got
it?
to the page that you screenshotted, and it said your order will just take a moment.
As well. That screenshot is hopefully what she should see here. And
Yeah.
I wish you guys. Okay, you see that? She didn't need a course ID. So now she hits access code. Pull the screen over here, please, as you enter it. I'm going to have her enter that. And then give them something else to look at. Maybe pull that over there so they're not just looking at the blank. And okay. So she's going to enter in that code right quick, and then we'll pull it back over. But you see, you should not be prompt for a course ID if you click the Pearson MyLab from within the oceanography, from within Blackboard. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you want, I mean, try it now while she's got 3 more sets of numbers to do. Try it now. And like I said, if financial aid hasn't come in, just do the 14-day trial.
It finished loading. I think it's just putting the course onto my homepage now.
Okay, cool. And pull it over, they can see it now. Okay, so now she's got her code in. And you can, okay, it's processing.
Yeah,
And
it
so
won't put it onto your course homepage until a few minutes afterwards, because it hasn't put mine yet either.
Okay. What she's done is logged into Pearson separate. And I just do it where we don't, because I had so many problems with that. Yeah. So I keep everything, and I'm going to tell you, after you take your quiz, keep in your notebook whatever score you get. I sync once a week, okay? Okay, everybody see that? Now it gives the course ID. Go ahead and write that down if you want, but you don't need it. So it's Paget 05285. Everybody got that?
02.
And actually screenshot that right now. So just do a snippet. It's right here. And I'm going to keep a snippet of that. And just do new. Okay. The guinea pigs are going crazy out there. And then sweep across that. Screenshot just left to right. Great. And then you can just pull that to the right side. And I'll keep a copy of that. Okay, so she's good. So, and they've got support. Make sure, if I were you, I would copy that, highlight all of it. Go ahead and highlight all of that. Will it let you highlight it? I would do Control-C. I would open up a Word doc. Just so you got the support, you got the portal and all that. And then pull the Word over. Hit blank Word. Control-V to paste. And then she can save that. So she can save that to her desktop. A file save as Aaliyah Pearson. And just go to desktop. Browse. And desktop. And then just call it. Yeah, there you go. It's all right. so that's her receipt and that's her proof. And so, if you do buy online, keep your receipt. You can turn that in on your taxes for your textbook. So back to the class. And so she can just hit mastering assignments, and let's see. She should now see the assignments. Her reading quiz 1 is due on Thursday at 11:59 p.m. That's where all my stuff is due. Reading quiz 1, 20 points. And then she has an extra credit that's also due Thursday. Introduction to Mastering Geology. Do that one first. Okay? Do that quiz first. Then what I want you to do is go here, and I want you to go to the Pearson e-text. Here's where you read your book. You have a separate tool, and let's maximize that so they can see that full window. And select your country, Uganda. Oh, United States. Oh. All right.
Protect the queen.
I select. Okay, there's our book up in the left with the bar. She's going to show us the chapters. And I want her to go to brief contents. This is a kicking good book. I did not use this book the first year. So we've got 16 chapters. This week, you're going to come in and read Introduction to Planet Earth. Okay? So she can.
Can you calm down?
Okay, so the first thing you need to do is tonight, tomorrow, read this first chapter. And you can scroll down. Now, each chapter has learning objectives. You need to read those objectives. Read them before you read the chapter. When you're done with the chapter, go back and make sure you know them all. Compare the characteristics of the Earth's ocean. Discuss how early exploration was achieved. It was hard. It was with a boat. Explain why oceanography is interdisciplinary. It's not just geology, geography, it's biology and engineering and marine biology. It is a super interdisciplinary science. Describe the process of science and the scientific inquiry. You know what that means? You've been doing this for years. 2 years old, you were sitting up in the high chair. You formed a hypothesis and said, I wonder if I throw my spoon on the floor if she'll pick it up. Or he or she walked by, you threw it, they picked it up. That worked, great experiment. Did it again. They walked by, this time they didn't pick it up. They looked at you and was like, no, not happening. Okay, it worked the first time, your hypothesis, second time it didn't. So years later, you write it in a scientific journal, go to a meeting, argue it. Somebody tries to re-simulate it. Well, for them, the baby, somebody walked by the third time they didn't pick it up. That's science. You ask a question, you get some data, you write it up, and then you see if anybody else can and get it to repeat. How does the Earth and the solar system form? From nothing. We'll go through that. Explain how the Earth's atmosphere and the oceans formed. Oceanography is not just talking about whales and dolphins, although personally, if we just did a class on penguins, I would be perfectly happy. They're one of my favorite animals. We could just do penguins and talk about it. And I want to tell you, if you are all amenable, I would like to go ahead in this class and take a field trip to the Indy Zoo. I do it every year. If you guys are willing to do it, I would like to schedule it. I get an activities grant. We get a van. We go to Indy. We do the behind the scenes tour with the dolphin tank. They had a new calf last year. I'd like to see how big he is now. And so I'm hoping that even though we're virtual, everyone is still willing to go on my Indianapolis Zoo field trip because it's a blast. And I can give you an excuse. And what I like to do is I like to, leave in the morning and we get back by 5 o'clock, essentially. And I get enough money from the grant that I pay for, a couple meals. So we usually go to Chick-fil-A or something coming through Terre Haute. So is everybody amenable to that?
Sure.
I can't.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it'll be nice to see some of my coworkers again.
Sounds
Oh,
good.
did you work at the zoo?
I worked event side for 2 summers. So I got to know a few people around there.
Yeah, and
I'm
what
good
we'll
with
do,
going.
the business people, I'll have some of you guys do some short films so the distance people can kind of get a feel for it too. But it's a great trip.
It's been a good 20 years since the last I've been to the Indy Zoo.
Yeah.
It's
So
great.
I
it'd be
love the
pretty
Indy
interesting.
Zoo. I grew up going there. I'm from Indianapolis.
Awesome. Who said that? Those are
Yeah,
people- who's from
I grew up there too, so.
I'm in photography. Maybe I'll learn something about filming when I'm in photography, and then I can use it.
That would be cool. What you ought to do is ask them if you can borrow a small camera. Would be
I-
fabulous.
I have a camera.
Cool. Like a video camera. Okay, so that's good. So I'll go ahead and apply for our grant. Discuss why life is thought to have originated in the oceans and demonstrate how old the Earth is. And of course, that's in human years because, you know, it's all relative. But here's your textbook. So you go through, you read it. And the cool thing, you can click, don't click on oceans, but if you, well, go ahead and click on oceans. It has all of the dictionary right there with you. The ocean is the entire body of the salt water that covers 70.8% of Earth's surface. I would say that'll be on the midterm. So you'll read all that and then go back after you read it. Then I want you to go to your study area. Before you take your reading quiz, I want you to do study by chapter, an introduction to, and then go down to the bottom. And if there's anything that's funky to you, we've got all kinds of smart figures and go all the way to the bottom. Take your chapter quiz, all right? Read your text, then take it, click it. This is the end of chapter quiz. This is your study guide. So approximately what % of the surface of the Earth is covered by the ocean? And you can show your hint, and it should say a lot. And then go ahead. It's a little greater than 2/3. Bada bing.
So is that actually
Now,
going to be graded?
This one, you can send yourself the grade. The nice thing about this end of the chapter, you get the answer right away, so it's your study guide, okay? Which ocean is the deepest on Earth? And just click them all. Is it the Indian?
And we click them all?
Yeah, click them. You click them all. It's interactive. Yeah, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So it gives you the answer immediately. It's your review, your study guide. So you read your chapter, you do your end of your chapter quiz. The deepest spot in the ocean is deeper than Mount Everest is high. True or false?
True.
True. And there's usually only about 15 of these bad fellers. And so at the bottom, you can email yourself the results, which is nice too. You can copy and paste this as your study guide into a Word doc. After you've done your end of the chapter practice quiz, then go take your real quiz. Then go back to the Pearson My Lab, click Mastering Assignments, and not now, but when you're ready, she'll start her RQ1, and that's how this thing's going to roll out. Okay.
And you said to do the introduction to mastering geology first, right?
Yes, do it first because it'll kind of give you an introduction. And make sure that you guys do have a good connection for this. And I will tell you, I use the hotspot. I had trouble this morning getting in another class, all right? So I fired up my hotspot on my phone. It works so well. And if you happen to be somewhere and you can download the Collaborate app for your phone, I'd rather you come in on a computer, but if you're traveling or something, you can just put that link in and it'll port you right into the class, okay?
Collaborate app?
There's a Collaborate app. There's a Blackboard app. I recommend getting it. Make sure you use the third-party credential when you log into your Blackboard app. There's a separate Collaborate app. It has a purple chevron. And then that web that I gave you that you click, you just cut and paste that, email that to yourself, cut and paste that in your phone. It'll dump right in. My office hours, I normally am doing that on my phone. A lot on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I just use my phone. And then, so you've got 2 apps for Blackboard, and then you also have 2 apps for Pearson. For Pearson, you have a My Lab app, and you have the eText app, which is great. I read the eText on my phone a lot. I mean, I recommend you get a hard copy, but you're not required to have a hard copy. Like I said, I got nailed on an evaluation because someone was inferring that I said you had a hard copy. I didn't. I try to keep this as cheap and interactive as possible. $79.99, we're all in.
And you quickly get into the e-text by going to your study area part, right?
Okay, you get to your e-text, that's right. Everything is in the study area, or the e-text also has, there's two ways. You can get to the Pearson e-text by the direct link or the study area.
Okay.
But go back and show them how you got to that again. All she did was click Pearson My Lab in her Blackboard. Once she got
Okay.
registered, she had to register, and then click your blue bar over here. And then go to Pearson My Lab, and that's how she got there.
Okay.
And so that's the main tool you're going to be using throughout this semester. Now go to wikis. We're almost done, guys. I know I've only got 4 minutes here, guys and gals. Okay. So in the wiki, and I need to fix the due dates, but go ahead and do the wiki ocean exploration, and I'll set that due date to be like, all my due dates are Thursday night, because I don't want anybody to freak out. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh, did I forget something? So I generally try to make all the due dates on Thursday. So that way you can, worry about the more of your, hard, chemistry, physics, all those type of classes. So I'll fix that due date to be Thursday, and it just says watch the video where you've already watched the video, and then you'll make some comments. So go ahead and click that. I like the wikis, and when you go into a wiki, you want to put your name, and that's the exact same video you've already watched. Please watch the video and create a wiki and post why you think the ocean has not been explored as much as space. So in her content, she's going to put, I think that ocean exploration is more expensive than space exploration, and that's why, or something like that. And then she just hits submit, and then I'll give her some bonus points for that. Actually, I think I've got hard points in this. I think I've got actual.
So it doesn't have to be anything extensive or any of that?
Aaliyah, you have had me in class before.
Yes,
I'd like you to be thorough, but not wordy.
correct.
Like just right to the cutting edge point, right?
Yep.
I come out of industry,
Right to the point.
I'm straight to the point.
She doesn't want anything wordy. She doesn't want to have to read it.
I want it in technical writing, and, like the real deal. I mean, I'd like to hear your opinion. I mean, you give it to me, you know what I mean? But I don't want to hear it.
Straightforward.
If you have more than 2 prepositions in a sentence, I'm done, man. Because my English teacher was Janice Borders, and she cut every preposition I had, and I went into IU the first semester after going to Switch City, from Newberry, Indiana, and I kicked butt in English. So everything I write, I delete half my prepositions. Okay, so we're going to meet back Thursday, right? Same place. I'm going to give you a lecture, and all the lectures are posted under lecture slides. All of the lectures and the clickers are there. All you got to do is download that big massive file. They're all there for you. One last thing, in book syllabus schedule, you download your syllabus, and we can go over that next time. I've got a grade calculator, but there's the schedule right there. Okay, so that's everything that'll be due on Thursday. That is for points. I have extra credit out there. We'll talk about that next time. Okay, there's lots of extra credit in this course. I don't care how you get to the end. I try to give enough extra credit so you don't have to take the final if you do them all and do them well.
Yep.
That's all I've got today. Do you have any questions? Alexandria, you got any questions?
No, I'm good.
Allie, how you doing?
I'm good.
April,
Yeah.
got any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Ashley or Christine?
I'm good.
Colton and Cordell?
No questions.
Doing good.
Devin and Elijah?
No questions.
Haley and Jesse?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Awesome. Nicole and Taylor?
Mm-mm.
I'm good.
Trent and Xavier?
No, ma'am.
Awesome. Zoe? Now,
I'm all right,
if
thanks.
All right, cool. If you cannot join me, make sure you send me an email and communicate with me what's going on, okay? So that's all I have. Guys, it's great to meet everybody. I'll look forward to, we're gonna all get to meet. We go to Indy. So if you've got any questions or issues, email me from within Blackboard by using your email instructor. I have over 200 students. When you do that, it'll put the course in there so I don't have to, a while ago while you watched the video, I sent three emails, what course are you in? But if you use the email instructor, it'll tell me what course you're in, so I'll be able to answer your questions. Okay? I've got a Google Hangout. I'll show you that next time. So if you need me, email me. You can call me, and we can jump in a Zoom or the Collaborate at any time if you need something. So your main goal right now is get registered, even if it's a 14-day, read your chapter, do your end of chapter quiz, and then take your reading quiz for your full points. Have a good week, you guys.
You too. Thank
I did
you.
that all
You too.
Yes. All with the mask on since I was here.
at the end. I always say that's a wrap. And you can hit the stop recording button.
Goodbye.